Hey, Action Shelf listeners, before we jump into the show itself, we want to tell you about how you can get even more action in your life.
Mm.
That appeals to you.
More action, you
More
say,
action,
John.
you say. Yes. If you go over to our Podbean patron page, that's patron.podbean.com/punchup. You can listen to Lisman and I watch, what's this? Good action movies.
Good action movies, you say?
That's right, a change of pace. We thought behind the paywall, let's give people something of quality. So,
And give us something of quality.
I know, it's such a pleasure to do that. So twice a month, you and I will be doing commentary tracks that you can download for good action movies, all kinds of awesome stuff from a lot of our heroes like John Woo. And we've done stuff from the John Wick franchise and Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, all the guys we never get to talk about on here.
Yeah, so stuff we legitimately love and love to share with you all.
Yeah. So you can listen to that as well as other cool exclusive content from the Punch Up Entertainment Network shows. Once again, the address for that is patron.podbean.com/punchup. And now, into the action.
The Action Show. Action Show. The Action Show. The Action Show.
Welcome to The Action Shelf. The podcast celebrates the glory of B action movies. I'm John Campbell.
I'm Michael Lisman.
Coming in with exactly the right attitude. We're through Video Game Valentines. We're into the month of March. And things are a little bit calmer.
John, as we know, the purpose of last month was to try and find the single bad video game adaptation film.
We didn't
find it.
Couldn't do it.
No.
All perfect.
And I think this month, or this movie that we watched, is evident that we are going back to low quality filmmaking. We were given a gift last month, and boy, has it been taken away from us.
There was a point when I talked last month, I think it might have been Wing Commander, but about the third movie, where I was going, I'm starting to get a little burned out by these video game movies. Then I watched this movie and I went, can we go back to video game movies?
Let's watch Wing Commander 14 more times, please.
Yeah.
Because I'd rather do that than watch this movie one more time.
My God. This might be. It doesn't reach levels of Future Kick, but in terms of what I'm expecting versus what it delivers, it's right in that. This is a film. This is,
I think, the Commando level.
Yes. Yes. It's Commando level, but also because of I didn't know anything about this movie. We picked this because of the cast and a little bit the title. We're talking about 1997's Crazy Six. A movie, once again, it's a thing where I'm going, oh man, look at this cast. It's called Crazy Six. This movie is going to be insane. And it's insane, but not in an entertaining way. More in a like, I was getting live updates on your mental state while you were watching this last night.
Yeah, I was losing it.
Rightfully so. I feel like we each went insane watching this in different ways. You were losing it, and I just kept going. Like, this movie's almost like a fever dream, but not in a fun way. Because there's a lot of movies I like that are like, that's a fever dream, meaning it's like trippy and crazy. And but this is more like I almost felt like I was drifting in and out of consciousness watching it.
Yes, slightly dissociating while watching this movie.
That's the thing, but the movie's dissociating. That's the thing where I'm going, I know I'm paying attention to you, movie, and you're sleepy. This movie's sleepy, not me.
Yes, exactly. I was both by the end of this movie. I was both drained,
Yeah.
and furious at
Yes.
the same time. I was
Yes.
so mad.
Yeah.
Like I was just swearing at this movie loudly by the last half hour of it. I was just like, fuck you, film. How dare you make me sit through this bullshit,
That because I think this is key, and we don't get too many of these on here.
Yeah.
And it's one of the now I'm putting this up there when we talk about like cardinal sins of action shelf movies. One of the absolute worst impulses of these is to try to make something artsy, because this is the thing. I think that a lot of and I'm thinking this is what you're reacting to as well. A lot of that fury is the pretension of this movie. This movie's acting like it's really stylized and it's introspective and noirish and you're like, but it's so fucking dumb.
It would be introspective if it had anything to say.
Yeah, it's exactly that, where it's just like, it's all vagaries and like, I mean, my God, the 20 minutes at the beginning of the movie that is just this woman singing in a club set to, and you're just going, exactly, that's what you're talking about. It doesn't add up to anything. I don't know what point you're making.
No. I was taking notes on... There's various updates through my notes. I have like 13 minutes in, song still playing. 16 minutes in, still going.
Yep.
Second song starts 20 minutes in. She is shot. The song is still going. Knife dragging on her body. Song still going. So it's just like...
Well, at a certain point with the songs at the beginning, I went, this is going to be the whole movie, isn't it? She's going to sing the whole movie. So.
And we're not far off, because she does start singing at the end again.
Yes, they do. Her singing bookends this thing.
Yes. And by bookends, you mean takes up the first 20 minutes and the last 20 minutes of this movie.
Yes, literally just in the runtime of the film, it bookends it. It doesn't actually have any like narrative or thematic reason to exist. It's just...
No.
Yeah.
So there's 45 minutes of this film without her singing, I think.
And what happens...
And somehow that's the worst part of the film. I don't know how, but that is.
Yeah, I'm like, get back to the singing, for God's sakes. At least that's something. Man,
this movie breaks you.
This movie does break you, because also it's one of those things, like, I took a few notes, and as I'm going through, I'm going, am I missing something? I'm going, no, the plot as it is so simple.
Yes.
It's literally Rob Lowe steals something, Ice-T wants it back. That's the movie.
He steals plutonium?
Yeah, which seems like, that doesn't matter. It's just a thing, right? Like... There's no what's he gonna do with plutonium? It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Ice-T has no plan to use the plutonium. Plutonium doesn't add up to anything meaningful at the end of the film.
No, it's just a thing. It's just an action movie thing, right? It's just like plutonium, bad. Yeah, but you're like, there's no stakes to like, if he gets this plutonium, he will, I don't know.
It's a MacGuffin that the movie forgets about. It sets up a MacGuffin and then forgets there's a MacGuffin, and so then you're like, so then what's happening? What's the
just make it
driving action of the film? There is none, which is why Rob Lowe is just wandering from scene to scene in this movie, and is just stumbled upon by other characters who are more active than he is, because he's not doing anything. Like this movie. Okay, this movie, John, I am so mad at this movie. But,
agreed.
So we are led to believe that Rob Lowe is the protagonist of this film.
He's the titular Crazy Six.
His name is Crazy Six, which, did you see why? Because they don't explain in the movie why his name is Crazy Six. Did you see why he's named that?
He's the sixth born of a family, right?
Yes. And he's crazy for drugs.
Yes.
Which is so stupid. Because he's not acting in a crazy, unhinged way.
In fact, it is one of the most muted and boring Rob Lowe performances I've ever seen. Because we were talking about this just before we started recording. Rob Lowe is bad in this movie. He's bad.
Very bad.
And
very bad in this movie.
I was shocked about that, because I think Rob Lowe's a very good actor.
He is. Yes, he's been great in many things.
He's
one of my favorite people on Parks and Rec.
Absolutely. Keep in mind as we're watching, he's 2 years out from doing West Wing.
Okay,
and
so
I
that was a big deal for him.
I think that's key. We're catching him right in the my movie career is kind of disappearing, and I have yet to get the resurgence of a big TV show. So that explains this because I was watching it going,
was Lost Boy? When did Lost Boys come out?
Well, that would have been.
He was in that, right?
No, he wasn't in Lost Boys. That was Jason Patric, but he was St. Elmo's Fire, that kind of About Last Night. That's all 10 years before this. This is that weird middle section where where Hollywood doesn't quite know what to do with him, and then West Wing will shoot him back to the top again.
Yes,
because I've heard this recently about him. Since West Wing started, since the first season of West Wing started, there has not been a season of television that has not had a Rob Lowe show. He has literally been on a network TV show every year since 1999.
Good for him. That's great.
That's great. Yeah, it is. I mean, and I'm going, and once again, that's why it's weird in this movie, because I am a fan of his, and I'm going, that's great. I always want Rob Lowe on my TV. He's very good. Yes. But in this, I mean, I do think in this case, it's kind of not his fault, because number one, what is there to play? And two, this is a weird use of him. I was thinking this as I was watching this. It's something I think we've talked about before, maybe, but the idea that you're looking at actors are a type. I think every actor thinks they're a brilliant chameleon who can do anything, but actors do fit into things. And one of the things with Rob Lowe, not that he doesn't have range, but I think of Rob Lowe as a high status character. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's why West Wing is so good. Smart, politician, rich guy, whatever, that kind of thing, right? You expect to see him in a suit. Here where he's trying to be grungy drug dealer guy, you're just this isn't you,
he's
man.
Knockoff Kurt Cobain.
That's what I mean. Yeah, you're sort of going I don't even know who to suggest for this, because once again, the part is also horribly written, so it's not oh man, if they had, I don't know, Charlie Sheen in here or something. I will say this. We'll talk about this director in a second, but on the recommended movies, if you liked Crazy Six, which good lord, although we'll talk about somebody who did. This guy made another movie with Charlie Sheen, which is the only time I've ever seen Charlie Sheen listed as Charles Sheen. Because I think that's another pretentious piece of shit, I'm sure. I mean, that's the big thing here is dude, you're making a stupid crime movie, but you're acting like it's this insightful drama.
Yeah.
And you're
but again,
nope.
You have no insight into the human condition, no insight into any sort of compelling narrative structure.
No.
It's just...
It feels like a student film in that way, right? Where it's you understand what a artsy, humanistic, insightful movie looks like, but you don't actually understand what its substance is.
Yes,
because the plot is still a dumb action movie about people shooting each other over plutonium.
I think the student film description is perfect here. This is the kind of movie you see at speaking from personal experience, at a community college film festival. You know what I mean? Very, very up its own ass with nothing to show for it.
Which, as upsetting as that always was to see, in retrospect, especially now being older, I can think about well, those were guys in their 20s, working stuff out. This guy is 15 years into a directing career at this point when he makes this thing. And this is not our first. This is not our first, nor will it be our last Albert Pyun film. B-movie icon.
Cyborg, right?
He did Cyborg, which we're going to be watching for our next Van Damme month this summer.
Which I love Van Damme, but boy, does this make me
well, we also
not excited.
But yeah, I haven't seen Cyborg in a long time. Although the one thing that works in that movie's favor, this guy's directing, but Golan and Globus producing. That is a canon film.
Okay. All right.
I will say this is
got
not
me back in.
Yeah, man, we love canon. We have seen one other movie made by this guy. Remember Blast, the Olympic swimming.
Boy, another
action.
boring film.
Absolutely
Another
boring.
unnotable, like, just slog.
Yeah,
Jesus.
yeah. This guy is. Look, I know he has like a fan base, and is sort of a cult director.
Okay.
But I will say, literally, I've never seen anything good that he's made, and we'll be able to confirm that because, like I said, this guy's so ubiquitous in B action movies. I think over the next year of our show, we may have 4 or 5 more movies directed by him, sporadically spread throughout the thing because it's just you can't get away from this guy.
Unfortunately, yeah.
But,
he's like the Kool-Aid man. He's always hunting you.
And this is one of, I think, 4 or 5 movies he made with, as I'll refer to him here, Mr. T, although not that Mr. T. Ice-T. I gotta say, this movie totally wastes Ice-T. I was so excited to watch it.
Ice-T has 5 lines in this movie.
And
he has 5 lines. He's not even in this film.
Why would you use him? Like, this in no way takes advantage of his weird energy. We love Ice-T.
Nope.
We've been wanting to watch an Ice-T movie, and I was so bummed. The sad thing is, as I was reading user reviews of this, people are going, "Oh, don't watch this. You should watch Mean Guns with him and Christopher Lambert that this guy also directed." And I'm like, "Oh, maybe we should have done Mean Guns." But I thought this one's called Crazy Six, and it has this weird cast. We'll get to Mean Guns, I think, at some point.
Yeah.
Because we want to see the weird chemistry of Christopher Lambert and Ice-T. Because that makes no fucking sense to me that those two shared the screen. But yeah, Ice-T is such a non-entity in this movie for being the biggest person on the poster.
Yeah. And at this time, Ice-T was a real get, right?
Yeah, this is pre-SVU.
Okay, gotcha.
So this is him still. This is still hip hop star Ice-T. He's got the heat of New Jack City, which was big for him. This has 2 of the stars of New Jack City because this also has Mario Van Peebles, who's an actor we also like.
Yes.
And I will say, in terms of he's not good in this movie, but he is the silliest performance in this movie.
That is so okay. I agree with you that he's not great, but Maggie and I had the most fun watching him because he was having the most fun.
That's it exactly.
That translated
this movie.
To like, well, I guess my favorite part is Van Peebles.
He's often our favorite parts of movies because he is actually a good actor that will go, "This is shit. At least I'm going to give a weird performance." Right? Like he is devouring scenery. He is so weird in this movie. Every decision he makes is very bizarre. I don't know what this accent he's doing is. I don't know why he's holding a little dog the whole movie.
Did you look at the trivia for this movie, John?
I scanned it. Did I miss something about the dog?
Yes.
The Chihuahua. Oh, no.
Yeah.
The Chihuahua was unfortunately put down after filming as a bit of crew member who threatened to take the production company. Oh, that's so sad. Dude, a Chihuahua bit you and you're going to be like, come on, what kind of damage?
This movie murdered a dog. That's how, like, I finished this movie and I'm like, I don't think this movie could get any worse. And then I read the trivia and it did. It literally, this movie killed, because like a Chihuahua biting somebody, whatever. The reason why this happened is because there was the dog was not well trained.
Right.
There was no trainer on set to like regulate this animal. It's an animal. You know. So it's this movie's fault that the dog bit somebody, and it's this movie's fault that it was put down. Like this movie is deplorable, even from like from an objective like production sense. This is a deplorable movie. Oh
my god.
I don't love Chihuahuas. They're not my
No.
favorite
Oh no.
dogs,
Far from mine too.
Although I have met some very cute, snuggly Chihuahuas.
Agreed.
But,
it's it's like any dog. It's not the whole thing, but I would say in general, I don't find them to be one of the more appealing dogs to me either.
No, but it still pisses me off that this movie killed a dog.
Agreed.
It still pisses me off. I'm
well, because the last individual we're willing to blame for any of the trouble is the damn dog.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the dog's fault. The dog doesn't know it's on a movie set.
No. And also, I got to put it on whoever this crew member goes, you better kill that dog or else, you know.
Yes, and that guy, whoever that person is.
Because if a chihuahua bit me, I'd be like, oh, fuck, man, well, I better get this looked at. But then I would never go, yeah, that dog's out of control, man. You know, like, I can't imagine that. I would be so want to be like, fuck that dog. That dog doesn't know.
Also, the dog doesn't add anything to the movie, really. Like,
no.
It's just like an extra
quirk.
Eccentricity for Van Peebles.
This whole movie is an extra eccentricity, though. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, this whole movie is nothing. True. Everything in this movie is eccentricities because nothing makes sense, right?
Yes.
Like, when the movie starts, by the way, is this the most opening titles of, like, description there's, like, 10 minutes.
I wrote the whole thing
down.
Oh,
please share it. Okay. Because, this movie, more than Star Wars goes, this is such a crazy world we've created. You really need to know what's going on.
Okay, so we say Star Wars opening crawl. You have an image in your head. Scrap that image.
It's
That's
not that.
The image.
Imagine something much cheaper.
So instead of seeing the images scroll up to the top of the screen and away from you, instead it's just a series of title cards.
Which is, at a certain point, I started laughing at about the time the 8th separate title card comes on screen. I'm like, oh, come on.
I wrote down this intro as it came up. So, because it changes in, like, font size.
Yes.
At some point, the words are, like, warped and stretched just to fill the screen, and it looks terrible.
It really looks bad. And you don't have to go to Star Wars levels of epicness, but even, like, Blade Runner just starts with a simple scrolling text that's like a couple paragraphs. Yeah. And that world is more complicated than this, which is basically... everything you're about to read boils down to they're sort of at a lack of government in Eastern Europe, and now crime is rampant. That's basically that's all it is, right?
That could just be implied through the storytelling. None of this needed to.
By the way, this is such a '90s movie because it's all contingent on the fall of communism.
Yes, exactly. Okay,
go ahead.
Right, are you ready?
Yes.
Eastern Europe, a decade after the fall of communism, all caps.
Yeah, I'm like, did they think that I was going to be like the fall of what? Oh, communism! Whoa, I didn't see that coming.
Okay. New title card. Once there was hope. New title card. Now, all caps. New title card. This is also caps, but large and very stretched. Dark visions rule. Whatever that means, I don't know. It's never explained.
I don't know either.
New title card. Now. New title card. It is a trade route for smuggling. New title card. Drugs. It's, again, the big, bold, stretchy letters. So, drugs. New card. Weapons. New card. Fortune hunters. New card. Came from all over the world. New card. Criminals. Addicts. Lost souls. This is also capitalized. Now the region is called, and this is the biggest.
Oh, this
is the biggest.
Yeah, because this is the one I wrote down. So go ahead. Yeah.
Crime Land.
By the way, this movie should be called Crime Land, shouldn't it?
It should.
Crime Land's a better title. Because Crazy Six, you're like, what?
They never say Crime Land in the movie.
Nope.
So none of this is even referenced. So somebody was just like, we need some context here.
That's it exactly, because kind of aside from how stupid this is, I'm going, okay, I'm kind of on board for this movie where it's basically like crime. I mean, like the idea of like a fantasy world of crime. I don't know how much. I know you're not like a comic book mythos devotee, Lisbon, but I don't know if you know of the city of Madripoor in Marvel. It's basically it basically is Crime Land. It's this giant city in the Marvel universe that is where all the criminals and gangsters live and where crime runs rampant. But unlike this, it's this very glitzy like casino world in that. Very expensive. They did you see Falcon and Winter Soldier?
No, I didn't.
Okay, well there's a whole section in that show where they go to Madripoor. And it is like, yeah, it's very cool, and it's Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of what I'm going like, cool. I'm on board to watch like an action movie set in a world where everyone's a criminal, law is out the window. I'm like, yeah, give me that movie. I'm on board for that. This does not deliver on any of that. Also,
No.
The thing I did see in the trivia that I loved is that the movie was supposed to be shot in San Francisco.
Yep.
And then they moved it to Bratislava, Slovakia. I just love the idea of like San Francisco or the cheapest European city we can find.
That just goes to show that where this movie is supposed to take place does not matter.
Because there's none of the fun of like a sci-fi movie's world building in this. Yeah, as you're saying, it's exactly this, and then you're just like, I don't know, it just seems like any other crime movie I've ever seen. Like,
exactly. It could be in any city. I think they reference Eastern Europe at some point, but like,
yeah.
Barely.
But also, almost every actor in the movie is American too, which is weird.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But Burt Reynolds is supposed to be the weird, out of place American.
Except for he's not out of place because there's a bunch of other Americans.
That's what I mean. It's this whole thing about like, because it is sort of just like, what are you doing over here, pal? And he's like, well, I don't actually know because we didn't really explain my backstory, did we?
Not at all. No.
Anyway,
yeah, he's like a Lone Star sheriff.
Yeah.
Who
well, and even that is a mildly interesting idea of like he is the one law enforcement person in a world of criminals.
Yeah. Is there a police force?
I don't think so. I think he is. I think once again, because the movie is so vague, this is my extrapolation, that he is basically a vigilante, right?
Okay.
Acting as if there needs to be law and there isn't, so I'm going to impose it. That
sounds like he should be the main character of this movie.
Well, I do think Burt Reynolds is at least what they imply about him.
Yeah. Makes
him potentially the most interesting character. He is the character that I have the most questions about. And I think Burt's pretty good in this, in as much as Burt is always good. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Burt is
he's sleepwalking through this movie, but he's still better than most other people in this movie.
It reminds me of that other movie we watched, Raven, with him, where it is like, even Burt Reynolds on autopilot was just so fucking naturally compelling. You can watch this movie and go, oh, I get why this guy was a movie star for like decades, because when he's not on the movie, I'm going, can we get Burt back in here? He's got some energy or something.
He seemed kind of drunk to me. I don't know if that's just...
By the way, this is the same year that Boogie Nights comes out. So his career is literally just about to like explode again.
So this is the death rattle of his B action movie.
Absolutely. This year, he'll get nominated for an Oscar the same year he makes this movie. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy?
Isn't that crazy? He'll do what I think
also
his best performance ever. And I think most people would agree Boogie Nights is the finest work he ever did. He's amazing in that movie. And I think, like I said, I think he's pretty good in this, weirdly, except for his character doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? Like,
his character doesn't make any sense, and he's clearly never on set with anybody else at the same time.
Lord, no. They shot him out in like 3 days. You can absolutely tell that he's like, I got a little hole in the schedule here. What's this thing? Crazy Six? All right, let's do that.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I could use a quick hundo.
We're remodeling the kitchen, so I need a little bit of money here. Yeah, because, in 97, he makes a couple of these movies, like a couple of movies at this level, and Boogie Nights. Because we haven't... Oh, man, I don't know what Big City Blues is, but it's him and William Forsythe. And I feel like we need to watch this movie, which is also...
We gotta watch this.
97.
We should watch... What were the other movies? So it's this movie.
Yeah.
Big Street Blues, Big City Blues.
Big City Blues. Yeah.
Big City Blues. What was the other shitty movie he did this year?
The other shitty movie he did this year was Raven. So we actually already covered that.
Okay.
One. Yeah.
So we've seen 2 of the 3. So
yeah, we got to finish it up with Big City Blues. And then, oh man, we got to do. He did 2 movies the next year, or 98 and 99. a series called Hard Time, in which he plays a no-nonsense detective named Logan McQueen.
Great.
And that's him and Billy D. Williams. Okay.
Ooh.
Directed by Burt Reynolds.
Oh, okay.
Now we're
taking that. He's taken that prestige he got from Boogie Nights.
Okay,
I
just scrolled forward a little bit. It's a trilogy list, man. We're doing the trilogy. We got to do the Hard Time trilogy. You got Hard Time, Hard Time the Premonition, and then Hard Time Hostage Hotel.
Is Hard Time his blank check moment?
I think
it's not quite a blank check, but he got the prestige. From
he got the
Boogie
prestige
Nights,
of it,
right?
and then got a little like mid-budget action franchise out of it. Although I've never seen these movies, but oh my god,
great.
Well, these look like more our thing, where he's like a grizzled ex-cop kicking ass.
Yes.
This is the Burt Reynolds old man action movie. That's what we're looking for. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, how you doing? Yeah. Sweet dreams, asshole. And we've also talked about doing the race car movie with him and Stallone, Driven.
Oh yeah, we should definitely do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've been circling around a Burt month for a long time. We've got to do. We've got to do.
Knock it out of the.
Yeah,
we just knock it out.
Yeah, because
definitely.
Because like I said, it's not that this character is good or this is even his finest work, but it's just, my God, this movie's so boring that when anyone comes in with any semblance of charisma, you're just.
Yeah.
One of the user reviews that was negative of this movie, most of them are, by the way. Like, this is not. This is. There's not a lot of people defending this movie. But there is one guy who, and by the way, I think this is the way to see this movie, goes, I bought a VHS of this at a flea market for $2. I'm like, yep, that's how you experience this. And he said, I literally just fast forwarded to the scenes with Burt. I'm like, yeah, fair enough, man.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because, like I said, the bigger disappointment to me here is the lack of Ice-T, who I really was most excited to see in this.
Yeah, we got to get Ice-T. We got to watch another.
We got to watch it.
We got to watch something.
What's that cruise ship action movie with him that we've talked about watching? There's one where
we should do that. That is the next Ice-T.
It's like a Die Hard on a cruise ship with Ice-T.
Perfect. Is he the villain?
I think he's the bad guy, yes. I think he is the Hans Gruber of that, and it has a dumb title, and I'll find it here in a second. But, because no, it's not the Wrecking
as long as we can talk about anything other than this film. I think
Final Voyage. Set a course for terror. Yes! Yes! That's what we want. Yo, I'm gonna take over this cruise ship.
I'm gonna drive it right into an iceberg.
His character's described as a modern-day pirate madman, so I just can't. Yeah.
Everybody, get your booty ready. I gotta take it.
That's the only thing that's disappointing is this modern day. I want proper 1700s. Yaha, matey. I'm gonna take a swig of rum and then steal all your goods.
All right, everybody, swab the poop deck.
Everybody bury this chest of treasure. I'm marking X on your maps. It's just...
I think this treasure is cursed.
Oh, man. They're talking... Disney's still always talking about bringing the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise back. I'm telling you, guys, you and I are there opening day if it's Ice-T.
Yes. Oh, 100%. I think I've only seen the first two Pirates of the Caribbean
movies.
Wow.
I don't know if I'm proud to say...
Most people saw the first three.
Listen, I've seen all five, so I have seen all of them. Yeah, I have seen all of them. I'm
willing to skip all those if Ice-T is in.
Yeah.
Is in the next one.
Yeah, the high seas are about to get turned. The Caribbean ain't never gonna be the same after Ice-T's done with it.
What is Ice-T's pirate name? Ooh. What is he? Is he a famous pirate?
Oh, I would love the idea
about an original piece.
Because they have done both in that franchise, right? Because obviously you have Jack Sparrow, but then Ian McShane was Blackbeard, right? So you have that kind of
exactly.
yeah. he's bigger, blacker beard.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. It's a shame they already did Blackbeard.
Yeah.
Because, that would have been perfect. Does Ice-T have a beard in this version of him? Or does he have like his sort of?
I think he has his signature like
look?
kind of wispy goatee.
Okay.
Something I've now patterned my life on. I saw this and I went, I'm like, let me try this goatee with ice. No, no, I'm rocking
more.
more.
John, let's both do it. We're both gonna do the Iced-T look.
The Ice-T look, yeah.
You're gonna have to grow your hair out so you can get.
You're on your way. Oh yeah, because weird little
that
ponytail.
I can do.
Yeah. I
also love how many of his goons also have ponytails.
I know. Well, that's another thing too, where it's like, why is this movie focusing on all the boring stuff? I want to know more about the weird crime organizations that Ice-T and Mario Van Peebles are running.
Yes,
because Mario Van Peebles in this movie, he's playing Dirty Mao. Isn't that right? Yeah, Dirty Mao.
He was Dirty Mao.
He was Dirty Mao.
Why is he named Dirty Mao? That's a Chinese. Isn't that a Chinese?
Yeah, but it's the communist leader. That is all the thing about this movie. Thinks it's saying something about communism, right? That's what they think. I think that's the thing.
But he has a French accent. Yeah, why does he have a French accent?
I think that's all Van Peebles, man. I think that's just I'm doing this accent. No, I don't understand. He's a black man with a Chinese name and a French accent.
And a Mexican dog.
Yeah. I don't know what the fuck. And then Ice-T is playing a man named Raul. Ice-T doesn't look like a guy whose name is Raul.
No, and also, why is there a crime lord named Raul in the Eastern Bloc?
His name. I don't understand. Do you know what his character's name on SVU is?
What?
His name on SVU is cooler than this. His name on SVU is Odafin Tutuola.
Love it. I love that.
That's a cool name. Yeah.
That is a
Detective
cool name.
Odafin Tutuola.
It's a shame that when people talk about that show, they're just like, oh, yeah, and then Ice-T did this.
And in the show, they mostly just call him Finn, but I am like, I am sorry. That is Sergeant Odafin Tutuola. Yow.
Yeah, I would call him by his full name every single
Excuse
time.
me, Sergeant Odafin Tutuola. Yow.
Yeah, what's up?
Listen. So we're just talking about other movies.
Yes.
There is an action movie with him and Snoop Dogg called The Wrecking Crew. Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, The Wrecking Crew, and the tagline is "Time to clean house."
John, put it on the list.
Yeah,
put it on the schedule.
Yeah, this we have to watch. This is getting. I also I'm like, whoa, Ernie Hudson's in this? And I'm like, oh, Ernie Hudson Jr.'s in it. That makes more sense. Because I'm like, boy, Ernie Hudson's really slumming it being in an Ice-T Snoop Dogg. Oh, his
Ernie Hudson's son.
Yeah, that's the thing where I'm going, but it's also not a good indication for his career that I'm going, I didn't know Ernie Hudson had a son who apparently is starting. Yeah. That's not good. Is his whole career just, my dad was a Ghostbuster?
I guess so, yeah.
By the way, Ernie Hudson, I have spent a little bit of time with at conventions. Such a lovely man. Can't say enough wonderful things about Ernie Hudson.
He seems very sweet.
He's a very sweet guy. One of the nicest celebrities I've ever met. All right. So So the opening movie is just Ice-T going, "Yo, I want my plutonium."
Yeah. That is
to what it and then who is Ice-T?
Rated or Rob?
Yeah, that's the thing. Rob. So once again, the plot is actually really simple for how weird the movie is. Rob Lowe and his friend, who is this other guy.
The other guy who is you don't know his name, but he does everything in the movie. Because Rob Lowe's just stumbling around and doing nothing. Yeah. He's aimless. This other guy's like, we got to get shit done. Rob Lowe. This
is Tom Matthews, is this actor's name, who plays. Apparently, the character's name is Andrew. I literally only in my notes referred to him as Rob Lowe's friend. He is. I know him because he's in a bunch of '80s horror movies. So he's one of the main guys in Return of the Living Dead. He's the main character in Friday the 13th Part 6. Oh God, he's in the something we definitely have to do at some point. The sequel to the Dirty Dozen. Yep, you didn't even know that existed because it doesn't basically.
I didn't. What is it? What is it called, John?
It's called Dirty Dozen: The Deadly Mission.
Oh, lame.
But it's also one of those things where I'm going, wasn't the mission in the first movie deadly? So why is this the deadly? Anyway,
what about the Solid 7 or the
yeah,
or the Sinister 6? Oh wait, no, that's already something.
The Dirty 13. We got one more guy. The Dirty Baker's Dozen. Now we're talking.
Ooh,
the Dirty Baker's Dozen. That's right. We're throwing a couple extra in there just in case.
Yeah, and you better believe Ice-T is in that one.
Yo,
he's the Dirty Baker's Dozen. He's the 13th member.
I'm here to make this the dirtiest dozen you've ever seen.
The Nasty Nine.
That's right. Because when you can lose 3 guys if you got Ice-T on your team. Yeah. It's of course the thing where it's just Telly Savalas from the first movie, right? You go like,
okay,
who's the cheapest?
Not really Dirty Dozen.
Yeah,
it's not really a dozen, is it?
And yeah. Anyway, before this guy's career does shift hard into just being in Albert Pion movies at a certain point.
Okay,
so. I weirdly, for as terrible as this director is, Albert Pion gets a lot of the same people in his movies.
Yeah. You know, they're probably emotionally manipulated into it.
Well, it's one of those things. I mean,
he breaks them down.
This is the thing about the action shelf movies, though, and guys like Albert Pion. You watch this, and this movie is fucking awful, and yet he keeps getting more money to make more movies. I don't know how anybody saw this movie and was like, "Let's get guy money." This isn't even close to the end of his career. He makes a bunch more movies after this. Yeah. You shouldn't be allowed to make movies after making this, in my opinion. Like this is a crime against cinematography. It is a crime against storytelling. Yeah. It is a crime against movie watching. This is one of the rare movies that we do on here that literally nothing works. This fails on every cinematic level. Every scene. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of impressive, honestly. and I watched this movie on Tubi. Oh. And this is one of the rare examples where whenever a commercial would happen, I'm like, oh, thank God. Oh, wow. A reprieve from this. Now, I watched this on Peacock commercial free, so I got no reprieve. I guess I could have done that. Yeah. Yeah, maybe you kind of made the right decision, though, to take a little break. I think so. Take a break. Yeah. Oh, my God. So Art Pion also, I guess he must have become good friends with Ice-T because he's in a bunch of his movies. And he also directed the music video for Ice-T's song, Always Wanted to Be a Hoe. Starring, there are only 2 characters listed in that video, Ice-T as himself, and a character who is only described as Ice's hoe. What's Ice's hoe been up to? That's my question. What's her career doing? Yeah. Yeah. Again, let's talk about anything other than this movie. Well, Ice-T's real-life wife is a pretty insane character as well. I don't know how much you know about Coco. Oh, really? Somebody pointed out, I can't remember, his wife's name is Coco, and I heard somebody once go, oh my God, they're both beverages. Ice-T and his wife, Coco. Well, Ice-T and Coco. And I'll just say, I'm sure she's a lovely woman, but like in your mind, whatever you imagine Ice-T's wife looking like, that's what she looks like. Okay. Great. It is just, oh my God, this movie. Who wrote this movie, by the way? We talk about Pion, but he didn't write this. This is Galen Yoon who wrote it, who's mostly an actor, looks like. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Well, that makes sense. I think the credits you're saying when you say he wrote some interesting, that stuff he acted in. Yeah, what did he write then? He wrote this. He wrote a different movie called Riot that's not the one we watched. Okay. He wrote the movie about the Rodney King riots.
he has 3 writing credits, John.
Yeah.
This is the last thing he ever wrote.
See, this did
Which
stop
is
his
good.
career, which is thank God. And then he wrote an episode of something
Which it
called
should have.
Vanishing Sun. He does
Like,
not have
literally
much of a
just
writing
one
career.
episode.
Yeah. And then he went back to the acting where he's still doing that, I think. Yeah.
Still doing
Well,
that.
last he
Yeah,
was
maybe-
in was
maybe stick to what
Crank
you know,
2
bud.
High Voltage. People have asked if we'll cover the Crank movies. I don't know. Those are so trying to be B action movies that I don't know that they really fit in with this show.
Yeah. That'd be like doing Sharknado.
It's
you
in
know
that
what I
sort of
mean?
vein where it's like these are trying to be pulpy, so it's sort of like it's almost
Yeah.
like I don't know, mission accomplished. Like that's kind of my problem with those
Yeah.
movies.
It did it? Yeah.
Yeah, those are. I always have a problem with that where it's like, no, we want it to be nuts, and you're like, yeah, I sort of don't like that. Like, as bad as this movie is, this is. I mean, one of the problems with it is this is almost too sincere a movie. It thinks it's so serious.
yeah.
Which so I mean, maybe not sincere.
Yeah.
It's so self-serious though. God, it thinks
Yes, there you go.
we're
Yes.
really. He's going like, oh, I'm really taking the straight-to-video action movie to the next level, folks.
Yes. He also the action, like,
The action's
there's
bad.
very little action. Yeah, there's very little action in this movie, but
These
when
are-
we do get it, it's awful and hard to follow.
It really
and
is.
disorienting.
These shootouts are so bad, and I do think some of it is because you have Burt Reynolds these days, Rob Lowe these days, because there's a lot of just close-ups of people to the point where you're going, I don't know where anyone is in relation to anyone else, because it's very clear no one's on set together.
Yes.
But
yes.
also, the amount of times people just stand out in the middle of things and shoot their guns, and you're like, I would
nobody
no.
takes cover. There's no tactics. I mean, this is what we talk about when shooting guns is not inherently exciting.
Right.
Like, this is prime example.
I mean, if
of
you want to
that.
go further to the end of probably, I don't think this is a statement most people would fight me on. Probably the best director of gunfights in film history, John Woo, right? Gotta
John
be.
Woo, yeah, right.
So, but you think about the actual shooting of the guns is not often the coolest stuff in those. It is Chow Yun-fat flying through the air or sliding on a thing, or
diving through the air whilst firing 2 handguns.
exactly. Yeah. One of my favorite parts of Hard Boiled is when he comes through the skylight on the zip line, and so he's hanging from a rope and pumping a shotgun, and you're like, that's
Hell yeah.
awesome, man. But that's sort of the thing we're talking about. We're here, literally, people are just standing and shooting their guns at each other, and you're going, no, man, well, you gotta... There needs to be action with the guns. People just shooting guns is an action. And like you're saying, it's constantly cutting to these close-ups, and I'm going, there were several times when somebody would get shot, and I had to back it up and go, who shot him? How did he... When Mario Van Peebles gets shot, it confused... I had to cross stuff out
Yeah.
until it eventually... I think Burt Reynolds shot him, is that right?
Yes, it is revealed clumsily that Burt Reynolds was the one who shot.
But I wrote down that Rob Lowe's friend shot him because that seemed to be what the editing was indicating until it's like, oh, and literally my notes are like, Mario Van Peebles shot by Rob Lowe's friend. That's like crossed out. No, I guess Burt got him. Like, you're like, I don't know, man. I don't know what's happening.
And are we led to believe that Burt Reynolds is the father of the woman, the lead female?
I don't know that we get a clear answer on that.
They
think,
there's a
yes,
history there.
It's implied that he's some kind of at least father figure to her. I don't know. But then her mother's also in the movie, but she's just not a character.
Yes, she has no English
let's talk
lines.
about this, because I don't think Ivana Milicevic is a bad actress. Milicevic. Sorry, okay. On her IMDb, they have it in phonetic. Ivana Milicevic.
Milicevic.
Yeah. She's from Bosnia. This actress. I don't think she's a bad actress. I've seen her in plenty of other things. I don't know that she's... This is another one where I'm going, I don't know that she's good or bad in this movie, really. Everyone, you kind of can't be good in this movie.
I can only say one thing about her, and she has one acting trick in this film that she uses constantly, which is doing smoke tricks while smoking a cigarette.
Well,
like she'll exhale and inhale up her nose. She'll do a smoke ring.
That's kind of what I was saying earlier, where everything in the movie is like just eccentric things. Like these aren't characters; they all just have like quirks. It's all
yes.
It's an acting exercise in how do I build a character just out of like a quirky physical thing.
Because the script is giving you nothing, so
right?
You just have to I have to do something on screen. I have to do something other than just stare at the camera.
This same year, she's in an episode of Seinfeld that she's funny in.
Ah, well, there you go.
And then she goes on to be she's a not like a main, but she is a Bond girl. She's in Casino Royale.
Oh yeah,
she's the woman that he seduces at the beginning, who's the wife of the arms dealer that he needs to get information from. Yeah, she's good.
Oh, okay.
She was on a TV show.
Yeah, she was great in that.
I think she actually is a good actress. You just can't. Who could fucking know? I watched a show she was on called Banshee. I don't know if you've ever seen Banshee. It's the show. We're both big fans of the show Warrior. It's the guys who made Warrior. It's the show they made before Warrior. They did this sort of
cool.
They did this like Southern noir show called Banshee that I also recommend. It's got the star of it was the guy who plays Homelander on The Boys.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Anthony Starr.
Gotcha.
But she was the lead on there. She was the female lead on that. So like I said, I know her to be a good actress. But who the fuck could? Like I said, there's just. I mean, like I said,
who could be good?
No, no one. I would blame no one in this movie. Like I would never judge anyone's acting ability based on this movie. You absolutely cannot. I mean, really, it's insane. She was also on Buffy. I see here. You know, so yeah. I mean, she's working actress who has done a lot of stuff.
Great.
And I did sort of go like, man, because and also. Holy shit, does whatever pseudo love story with her and Rob Lowe just not work at all.
Did they already know each other?
I think so.
I'm trying to figure out if they imply something, but they don't back it up with any amount of like information. Because we don't know anything about Rob Lowe.
No. Literally
never explained
what you said earlier about he is the youngest of 6 children and he's crazy for drugs. Is the end of his character. Like, as we said, the movie starts with him and his friend stealing the plutonium from Ice-T. Why are they doing that? How did they get involved in that? Who the fuck could know?
This movie could be like, you don't even need like in-depth character work to make this movie work.
No.
They could just be like, it could be like a parable, and these characters are like archetypes of people or whatever. I don't know.
There's lots of noir movies like that where it is sort of like. Have you seen the movie Hotel Artemis?
I have not. No.
That's a really good movie. That is sort of a better version of this, where it's sort of a fantasy crime world, and it's all centered around this hotel that's a hospital for criminals, right? But you get there's a million good actors in it, and they're all playing sort of archetypes of crime things, right? So you get guys like Zach Quinto and Jeff Goldblum and Dave Bautista to come in and do these little weird. But the whole point of the movie is because we're in a singular location in the city, people are passing through, and you're getting all these weird kind of purposely one-note pulpy crime characters. And that works in that movie because the whole movie is constructed around that. And Jodie Foster's the woman who runs the hospital. So through her, we get this whole... The movie is about, though, this world of criminals. It's not about any individual character. So yeah,
that could have been an interesting way to handle this movie.
Like
honestly.
Make Crime Land sort of the main character. And then there's this plot where all these characters are moving around each other. I think something that tried to do that, and actually... is a much better movie than this for being a terrible movie, is that Nicolas Cage movie Kill Chain.
Yes.
Where it kept going from criminal to criminal, and they kept getting killed, and it kept handing off the movie. Like, that movie that movie doesn't work.
Did you ever think, after watching Kill Chain, that we'd be thinking fondly about Kill Chain?
No, it is that thing where I'm going, that movie doesn't really work, But when you watch
No.
this, you go like, Kill Chain was fucking great. Because it at least, it made comparable sense from scene to scene. The characters,
Yes.
while thinly sketched, made logical sense. You understood people's motivations. Nicolas Cage actually has like a character to play in it, even if it And it was the thing is like I'll tell people go back in our archives and listen to us talk about Kill Chain, and we probably shit all over it. But yeah, now we are just going, well, if it can get as bad as Crazy Six, then Kill Chain is a goddamn great movie.
Yeah, exactly. It puts a lot of things in.
It really does.
This movie put my life into context. You know what I mean?
Well, I will say there are certain moments on this show when we watch a movie, and it is like, what are we doing?
Yeah, it's a rude awakening for
sure.
There
There are times we're trying to. I will say the rest of this month, hopefully, I think.
Fingers crossed.
I think we've built with a bunch of stupid movies. Because I will say, I was longing for this movie to be dumb. You know what I mean? It's not that it's smart. It just doesn't make sense.
Yes.
But I'm looking for dumb as a box of rocks for these movies, right? Like, that's what we're...
Yeah.
So Burt Reynolds basically shows up then to investigate.
30 minutes into the film.
How you doing?
30 minutes into the film, he's introduced.
Yeah, because we stopped singing for a little bit, and Burt Reynolds shows up. How you...
Yeah.
And he's like a Texas guy. He's got like a revolver and a cowboy hat.
Yes, and he's constantly taking naps. This is the main thing they emphasize.
I don't know if
times
was that in the script or is that just Burt taking...
I think it was just Burt. He's like, I got a choice. Why don't I take a nap and then you wake me up when it's time to do the scene?
Come on. Yeah, because this
do you think Burt Reynolds chewed gum while sleeping?
Yeah, he's asleep. He's like nom nom nom. Nom 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 nom. Yeah. I don't. That's really the Norm Macdonald thing, but it is like, oh yeah. I don't know if I remember him specifically chewing gum in any movie, but that is the attitude. He does seem like a guy's like, yeah, I can't be bothered to take this gum out. So how's it going? Because in this shootout that ensues when they're stealing the plutonium, Ivana Milicevic, who plays Anna in the movie, she gets shot and ends up in this hospital, and that's where Burt Reynolds is like, tell me what you saw, huh? Yeah. And as he says,
and this, she gets sent to the hospital, and this other woman dies.
Yes,
but I thought it was her who was dying.
Yeah, I agreed. It's because there's a third partner in their heist that is the girlfriend of Rob Lowe's friend or something, because we're led to believe that he's really upset and he's really pissed at Rob Lowe that this girl got killed. And Rob Lowe,
so he has more motivation than Rob Lowe does.
Well, because Rob Lowe, I think, who's trying to play strung out on drugs, you can't know what he's thinking. Because he's just like, I don't know, man. Yeah. I'm crazy.
So this movie,
crazy.
I know this is more of like a maybe like a television thing, but in television there's often two types of protagonists. There's the active protagonist and the reactive protagonist.
Sure.
So if you're going to have a reactive protagonist, you need an active antagonist or something.
Well, this movie,
something needs to happen to this character.
That's sort of the problem. This movie's kind of lacking for an antagonist. It's like loosely Ice-T, but he's not a character at all. But he's not in the movie enough.
They couldn't get him enough to make him an actual threat.
And Mario Van Peebles' character is like sinister, but kind of like he's more like they're reluctantly working for him. So he's not really a villain either. And then Burt Reynolds is just this other entity that's kind of swirling around the movie because he ends up teaming up with them at a certain point.
Yes.
Because he has
they were not in the same, filming location.
No, never. Not. Was he ever on set with anyone other than this woman? I don't think so. I think that's the only person we see him on. He's never like in a shot with Ice-T or Mario Van Peebles or Rob Lowe.
Nope.
He does enter the movie with a God damn it. Once again, I have, I think, 5 one-liners written, and they're all Burt Reynolds lines, I think. And one of his early lines is, I'm on a diet these days. Starting to look like I'm 9 months pregnant. That's a self-burn. He hits himself with a self-burn, and then he says of Crime Town, I've never been in a town with so few brains and so many guns.
God. Can we just very briefly talk about when this woman is being murdered in the club, I guess,
Yeah. That's another thing in the movie, too. You talk about in terms of they're trying to build this world, but every location looks like the same place, man.
It's all the same location. You're like, I don't know where this is.
I don't know where anything is. I don't know where this is. I don't know where it is in relation to the other places we've been. You get a movie that's like, Welcome to Crime Land. You're like, I have no sense of this city at all.
Mm-hmm. Can you imagine? It's like if John Wick didn't do any of the world building.
That's pretty much what this is.
Just,
yeah.
But
still acted like it existed in this world.
Action.
Well, yeah, with bad action. But still acting like that's the thing is it does none of the world building, but still acts like it's set in this fantasy world.
Yes.
And so that just creates this feeling we're talking about where we're just like, wait, what? And who? What?
Yeah. And this movie does the gross thing of like this woman is being killed by this or like tortured by this guy.
Yeah.
And I had to write down this line because it's so indicative of what the dialogue is like in this movie.
Yeah.
And just to let everybody know, I'm not misreading this. This is how it was delivered in the movie.
Sure.
He's asking about where he's interrogating her, trying to find out where 6.
Right.
And he says to this woman, I want you should tell me where 6 is. I want you should tell me where 6 is.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, this man doesn't have the best grasp on the English language, but there should be somebody there to be like, maybe one more take.
Well,
maybe
or
we could just do one more take.
The problem with that is that line can work if it's like Polly Walnuts on The Sopranos. You know, where it's like, I want you to tell me what Crazy 6 is.
Right.
But he says it flatly. Like, that's the thing.
So it just feels weird.
If you, because it's like, you want, it's written like you're supposed to be like a Jersey mobster, like, you guys better watch out, you know, that sort of thing. But instead, it's just like, I want you to tell me where Crazy 6 is.
I want you to tell me where, yeah.
And you're like, what the fuck is going on here? And that's indicative, like we're talking about, just like, the characters don't make any sense. I mean, the movie could also...
soundtrack is awful and ill-fitting.
Jesus.
Because then they linger on the naked woman's dead corpse, and it's playing like jazz percussion for some reason.
Also,
as this guy is like mourning over.
It's all part of this, like I said, this sort of artsy, pretentious attitude. Because how much of the movie, too, is like weird... new agey music as Rob Lowe like twirls around in a drug-induced state, and he's like, oh, and the music's going down, 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 down.
If you told me it was 25 minutes of this movie, I would believe you.
Yeah,
honestly.
Well, because that honestly, like, if I think if you were to just cut this movie for its plot points, it's about a 20-minute film. There's about 20
100%.
minutes of story in this 90-minute film, and the rest is because later when we get to Anna and her daughter, how much of it is the idyllic stuff of them at the swing set, or when Rob Lowe briefly stops taking drugs and for like 5 minutes the movie acts like they're a family. This is where I started screaming at the television. I'm like, oh, they're a happy family now, isn't that great? Wow, this is totally earned.
Yeah, and I also like how this movie treats drug addiction. Like all you have to do is just decide to stop, and then suddenly you're
I mean, because this movie's all over the place, I feel like we can be kind of all over the place with talking about it. At the end of the movie, when he's like, you go on without me, I'll get clean. And then the movie ends with him coming to the club where she's singing, and no visible difference between him or anything, but he just goes, I told you I could do it.
If they had some sort of visual representation.
What if he had cut his hair and shaved off the mustache, and he's in like a suit or something? He just looks clean or slick or something.
He looks like Rob Lowe looks. You know?
Well, I will say this movie is trying very hard to take one of the most handsome men in film history and make him look like garbage.
Yeah.
And
do you think that mustache is real, by the way?
I couldn't tell, man. I don't know. It
could go either way. It doesn't look real, but
I don't think it is. But the movie is also one of the things is the movie is so poorly lit. I can't tell that I can't get a good look at it.
No.
I think
he's always in like a dark blue color. Like the lighting is always on him dark blue.
Okay, I'm looking.
So you have no idea what he actually looks like.
Yeah, so I'm looking at it on. There is a good close-up of him on IMDb here in the photos. I think we're definitely dealing with a wig. I think no question about that on the hair.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards fake mustache with this because he's got very real stubble, like he's unshaved. Rob Lowe doesn't strike me as a guy who could grow this mustache. Actually, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
I just don't. And that's kind of part of what we're talking about, where it's like Rob Lowe should not be playing like grungy, dirty criminal types. He just doesn't look natural on him.
Yeah,
you think
he can't even like. It's one thing not looking the part, but he can't even really act.
No,
not really,
because Rob
At least
Lowe.
Not in this movie.
Like, you think about Rob Lowe, I think he's a great villain in Wayne's World, but he's like yuppie bad guy, right? Like that's Rob Lowe's the kind of bad guy who's gonna like fuck your girlfriend, not shoot a guy in the back. You know what I mean? Like he's not
right. Yeah.
He has a number. There's a number of Action Shelf Rob Lowe movies in this time. I have thought about doing Outrage, which is his Death Wish movie.
Excellent.
I will say that is a better use of him to make him like a normal guy pushed to violence. I'm sure that movie's still terrible. But I'm just saying in terms of a part he could play, like I'm a normal family man who loses everything and goes nuts. That's a better Rob Lowe action vehicle.
Well, he at least has motivation in the film. You know?
But yeah, like there's a whole run here in the late 90s where he's doing stuff called like Midnight Man, Outrage. This is one of them. What else was I just seeing in here? Fox Hunt, Hostile Intent. And I think it's sad because he's a good actor. He never was an action guy though. That's such a weird place for him to be. I mean, the other thing is, and this movie definitely doesn't take advantage of this because nothing's funny in this movie. Rob Lowe's so fucking funny. He's such a good comedy actor. And I feel like even when he's doing stuff like The West Wing, he's got wit, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's something that's just also, And here he's just like, I don't know, man.
I don't know. I'm just talking like this. So low energy.
It is sort of like I don't know how to play this part.
Recovering in a hospital is the same energy level as every other scene in the movie.
Because it does feel like, when I say Rob Lowe's bad in this, it's not like, oh, Rob Lowe forgot how to act. It's more like, I don't know what I'm doing in this part, so I'm going to kind of just be on low energy mode and go like, he feels unsure. It feels like an actor going, I don't quite know how to play this scene because number one, I'm a weird choice.
Incredibly unspecific.
Yeah, number one, I'm a weird choice. And number two, the script doesn't make any fucking sense. So I'm just
probably
gonna
getting
talk
no
like
help
that.
from the director.
From Albert Pion, famous director Albert Pion. We will be covering his very first movie, I think, next year on the show. Because we're gonna do an 80s fantasy month on here. There's a tease for the future, and his first movie is called The Sword and the Sorcerer. So stay tuned, folks. Stay tuned for a lot more Pion here on Pioncast. No, I'm sorry, it's
Oh wait, no, I misread that.
I'm sorry. No, this is the Action Shelf. And yes, we have threatened many a time to watch the Captain America movie this guy made, which I have seen and is god awful.
Oh no.
Yeah. Believe it or not, this guy made a film about Captain America. I'm
sure he knocked it out of the park.
Oh, it's great, man. I tell you right now.
Hey, John, what did you think about the not one but two separate scenes where they had to Kool-Aid flavor? What did you think of that?
Yeah, that's another thing where you're going like that is a perfect example of post Tarantino, like, we're gonna talk about pop culture. You're like, But it's like when Tarantino does it as a point. This is just like, oh, you know what's cool and trendy? What if we talked about Kool-Aid in the middle of a crime movie? You're like, and?
But why?
Yeah.
Who's talking about Kool-Aid flavor? Like, what adult is like, oh man, I love the fuzzy lemon? That's so
what's the one they keep saying in the movie? Goofy Grape?
Goofy Grape, yeah. Yes.
I'm like, you know what? You're really losing me here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's one of those things, too, where when that conversation was happening, I clocked it and I went, how'd they even get here? I don't even know how that conversation started.
I have no idea. I don't know where they are.
Do you think Pion was going?
I don't know what they're doing.
Do you think Pion was going, oh, this will be this movie's Royale with cheese moment?
Exactly. Yeah.
If Travolta and Samuel Jackson can talk about burgers, then we can talk about Kool-Aid, man.
I just want to imagine Albert Pion being like, your move, Tarantino. Checkmate.
By the way, I believe it's this same year that Tarantino makes Jackie Brown as this is coming out.
Okay.
So,
Well, yeah.
I don't know, man. Real hard to tell.
Decide which one's better.
Yeah, I don't know. That's really.
Yeah.
What's that? Yeah.
Did they talk about Kool-Aid in that movie, John?
I don't remember there being a lot of talk about Kool-Aid and Jackie Brown. I'll have to go back.
Okay.
I've only seen it 5 or 6 times, so maybe I missed it. Still, I know that movie pretty well. That's a fucking great movie, man. Jackie Brown's an amazing movie. This is a terrible.
Yeah, but
movie.
Ice-T isn't in it, so.
Well, actually, I will say Ice-T in a Tarantino movie actually would be pretty entertaining.
That would actually be pretty.
Get
good.
like
because
Ice-T is not a bad actor. Ice-T is Ice-T.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I think he kind of always plays a version of himself. So it really is about how is he implemented. And here it's just, have him do. I mean, this, I think, like I said, he directed some of his music videos. I really do think this is just Ice-T doing a favor for a guy in this, right?
I think so.
Because you think he worked, He worked a day on this? He had to have worked no more than a day.
Yeah.
Bert did 2 or 3 days. Ice-T did a day. Van Peebles is there for maybe 2 days. Like, you can tell...
It's mostly on Rob Lowe.
It's mostly on Rob Lowe, whose direction is constantly just to be strung out and spacey, which is exactly what you're looking for in a main character.
Yeah, I love that propulsive nature to his character.
Yeah, like you're saying, the friend is a way more, like, valid character who has motivations and feelings about things.
Yeah.
And you're just like, he's crazy. Yeah. It's like, he's crazy for drugs, which means he's super low-key and mellow. Yeah, that's not very fun to watch. I thought he was going to be crazy.
No.
I'm crazy.
I'm crazy six.
See, because what we want is Nicolas Cage is crazy six. Now that would be, I'm crazy.
So he goes by Crazy Six.
Yeah.
Now, do his friends call him Crazy Six? Do they call him Crazy? Do they call him Cray Cray? Do they call him Mr. Six? You think?
Ooh, Mr. Six is kind of cool, actually. I'm Mr. Six. Everybody calls him Crazy Six except for Anna, who calls him Billy, which is apparently his real name.
So she does know him because she knows his actual name.
Yeah, she knows that he's Billy. Yes.
Boy, it would have been great instead of talking about Kool-Aid, they talked about why he goes by Crazy Six.
I don't know, man. That listen, you can't lose those Kool-Aid monologues. By the way, that's the new off-Broadway show I'm working on, the Kool-Aid monologues. It's gonna be bold stuff, man. I remember the first time I tried green apple. It's my new one-man show, the Kool-Aid monologues. The time Hawaiian Punch came out.
And like the whole time you're like drinking the Kool-Aid that is,
Here's the thing.
Eventually a whole vat of Kool-Aid is dumped on you, there's a splash zone.
And here's the thing about this. I could do that with no intention at all, and people would be going like, brave theater, probably. Because I will say, just to give you a tease of the IMDb review, that's kind of the route here. Anytime you get like this weird sort of thing, someone will think it's insightful and deep, right? And so somebody gets this movie according to his review on IMDb.
Somebody is bringing a lot to this
Yeah.
film. I think they're doing all the heavy lifting.
Well, it's the thing. It is the student film thing, right? Or the experimental film thing, right? Where it's like, I'll see something and I go, oh, that's just nothing. But then somebody go, oh, no. Because, of course, you can bring whatever you want to it because it does mean nothing. So if you want to pretend it's insightful somehow, you can. But that drives me up the wall. If you just act vague and weird, some people will read that as genius. Jesus, this movie, man. I mean,
like it's fine to be cryptic about what you're about. You know what I mean?
Well,
but you should have some idea.
Like one of my favorite movies of all time is Drive, which is a pretty dialogueless, like mood piece. But it's a movie about stoicism. It's a very calculated character. Like, well, there's also Gosling is doing a lot internally. He's not speaking, but he's not just spacily walking through. Like, he's playing an internal life to a character. It's this whole.
Are you saying
thing.
that movie has a real drive?
It really does. Also, Nicholas Winding Refn is a genius filmmaker. And Gosling is one of the best actors that's living, I think. And that movie's just stunning. But it dares to have, good Lord, a plot and exciting action sequences too. I can't even fathom. What if
all in one film, John? That doesn't seem possible.
That doesn't seem impossible. It's got a little known guy named Oscar Isaac in it. I just
never heard of him.
Yeah, I hope he goes somewhere. Yeah. I mean, do we even need? I'm just looking at this thing. I'm just going because eventually it just leads to what eventually happens is the bad guys take Anna. Let's talk about this insane scene when they duct tape a crack pipe to her mouth.
Yeah, that seems elaborate for no reason.
Yeah, and I'm going like, to what end?
To what end? Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not that big of a deal because in this world you just have to decide to stop doing drugs and then you just can. So,
right.
Yeah, not a big.
Well, because there's no consequence to her for this.
Nope.
They force her to do drugs. Because earlier there's a scene where she almost smokes crack with, I think it's crack, by the way. They don't say, of course, but it's in the glass pipe.
They call it rocks.
Yeah, okay, they do. Yeah. But it's, so she almost, and then she goes, no, I can't. I have to go home to my daughter.
Yeah.
And that's me making fun of the movie, by the way. Like I said, not Ivana Milicevic, who I think is a good actor. But all of these lines are said like this because there's no way to deliver these lines anything other than, no, I must go now,
Can I say one positive?
Go for it.
This movie made one correct choice.
Which is?
And that was making the small girl in this movie speak a different language.
Yes.
So we can't hear how bad of an actor this child is. As soon as a child was introduced to this movie, I'm like, this movie has become the worst thing ever. And they averted that.
The other thing that I also like about that is it's the only indication we're in Eastern Europe.
That's true.
Everybody else is speaking English with mostly American accents, and then whatever the fuck
French.
it is, whatever the fuck it is Van Peebles is doing.
Yeah.
God damn, I did come out of it like you, liking Marty Van Peebles even more. Like, all right, if you're gonna be in some shit, man, at least be silly in it.
Okay. And there's just one other thing I want to touch on.
Okay.
I know we're looking to get out of the talk.
Well, because I'll just say like that because I'm just sort of going through and going like basically nothing happens in the middle of the movie. So let's skip to the third act where conceivably something happens. The bad guys have taken Anna, and so now Rob Lowe, still at the lowest of energy, is like, I have to get her back.
And he teams up with his friend who does everything.
And why that guy? Yeah, why that guy is suddenly cool with Rob Lowe again is unexplained.
Great question. Who cares?
Because earlier he's like, I fucking hate you for getting my girlfriend killed. I never want to see you again. And then at the end of the movie, he's like, okay, I'll risk my life to help you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But there is one sequence. So much like the beginning of the film where these title cards are like, oh yeah, I guess we could probably explain where and why things are happening. Because it's not clear in the film. There's an element that I don't know if you picked up, but there is one element of narration in this movie. Did you
Where
catch
was
this?
it? I don't off the top of my head. I will say this movie is fast leaving my head already. So go for it. What is it? I might remember if you say it.
So it's them sneaking into Dirty Mao's warehouse.
Oh, this is a weird
towards
thing.
the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So they get there, and I think somebody realized, oh wait, we don't know what they're doing because nobody stated what.
Yes.
Like, you just hear the words "at Dirty Mao's warehouse" from somewhere.
Yes.
Somebody says
Yes.
it, and I'm just like, this is crazy that you just decided to do this like towards the end, like an hour into an hour.
And talk about a boring action scene. This infiltration of Dirty Mao's warehouse is so boring. It is just because this is the scene where it's supposed to be. This is the John Wick-esque scene, right? Where it's supposed to be they're cutting their way through the bodyguards, and instead it's like, well, basically just nothing happens. I mean, they're sort of like quietly taking guys out in very boring There's no choreography. The shooting is so boring. And then it turns into
stunts. Yeah.
By the way, when Bert joins them, he does have the line going, "Hey, I ate a sandwich the other day that's older than you two."
You shouldn't do that. That's Bert. That's bad for your health. Why do you think you need to take so many naps?
Because that's him. Because they're going like, we have a plan, and he's basically the scene is basically we have a plan. He goes, "Hey man, I've been around a lot longer than you." And it's like, ate a sandwich older than you two yesterday. And then
still eating it right now, actually.
Oh, because this is where they talk about they're gonna go exchange the plutonium for the girl with Raoul, and I think this is my front runner for one-liner of the movie. Is Burt Reynolds says, "Raoul, I wouldn't trust Raoul if his balls were on fire and I had a bucket of water."
Yep, I think that just by default it has the best one.
Well, and that's just one of those things. It's a great one because much like this whole movie, he said it and I backed it up again and was like, I heard him, but I had to be like, that doesn't make any sense, Bert.
No,
I wouldn't trust Raoul if his balls were on fire and I had a bucket of water. What?
Yeah.
That's not. He says that like
he wouldn't put out the fire on Raoul's balls,
or he wouldn't.
With the bucket
he
of water?
Wouldn't even trust Raoul if he had to say anything to get his balls to not be on fire.
I guess.
Yeah, but it's just like, and also he says that like you go, no one has ever said that in the history of mankind. That is not an expression.
John, catchy phrases and expressions have to start somewhere, and most of them started with Bert.
And I will say, I was gonna, because that's my next question is, do you think that was a Bert original?
Oh, 100%.
Let me. I've been trying to work this into a movie for years. Let me try to get this in here. I wouldn't trust that guy if his balls were on fire and I had a bucket of water. All right. Can I have my money now? Yeah.
Check, please.
Yeah. How you doing? So they go in there once again, very ripping off Tarantino. We get this Mexican standoff where everybody's got guns, and then they start shooting each other. Whatever.
Mm-hmm. You can't fully tell who's being shot.
No, but both Rob Lowe and Burt Reynolds are like winged. They both do the classic. No action movie is complete without one of the heroic, or both in this case, both of the hero characters being like, "Ooh," and grabbing their arm, like, "Ooh, I got hit, but I'm okay," you know.
Exactly.
And then I do love after almost everyone has been shot, then Mario Van Peebles strolls in to kill Ice-T.
Yes. Well, he's just waiting for everything to settle down.
It is just like, well, I just arrived on set, so and then so Ice-T shoots, or I'm sorry, Mario Van Peebles shoots Ice-T. Then Mario Van Peebles gets shot. But it's weird. Mario Van Peebles gets shot, but you don't see who shoots him. It then cuts to Rob Lowe's friend knocking out two guys, and I thought, oh, did he shoot him?
I think it's him, yeah.
But no, then it's Bert, and then Bert hits us with, hey, what are you crying about? I didn't shoot the dog. They'll do that later, after the finish of the film.
Yep. That's, yep.
And then Bert ends up with the dog, because he goes, hey, this really felt like a Bert improv. When he's standing by the bar after the shoot, he goes, hey, you meet my new partner? And he holds up this little dog. Like, that totally feels like Bert screwing around, right?
Do you think the dog bit Burt Reynolds and Burt Reynolds?
He was just like,
person you choose.
fuck, kill this dog.
Do you think?
God damn it.
I don't know why. I don't know why that feels right.
Anyway, hold on. I'm talking to Paul Thomas Anderson on the other line here. What's this? Boogie Nights?
Can I bring the dog?
Yeah.
No. Okay.
All right.
Kill this thing.
You gotta shoot this fucking dog here. Yeah. He bit me or something.
Yeah. God. So Burt Reynolds is associate. Establishing that.
Well, I don't know if you've heard the stories from Boogie Nights, but that set sounds insane.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, because he was a huge dick on that set. He tried to fight Paul Thomas Anderson a number of times.
Oh my God.
No, it's one of those things where it's like, dude, he did you a huge favor, and apparently he was nothing but an asshole about it. Although my favorite Boogie Nights story is that he wrote that part for Warren Beatty.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Paul Thomas Anderson really wanted Warren Beatty, and he sent the script to Warren Beatty, and Warren Beatty went, "I love it. I'm totally in to play this Dirk Diggler character."
Oh, he thought it was the other character.
Yeah,
oh,
but
no.
you're like, he's like 60 at that point, and he's going, "Yeah, this hot 20-something guy. That'll be my part."
Oh no.
And then it was like, no, we want you to play the older porn director. He's like, "Oh no."
Oh God, no. That I don't fit that type.
Yeah. I just love that because you're like, oh my God, I love it. Just tells you how delusional Warren Beatty is that he's still like a young romantic lead in his late 60s or whatever, you know.
Oh, no.
Well, he also turned down Kill Bill. Kill Bill was supposed to be Warren Beatty. Bill was written for Warren Beatty. Yeah.
Wow, interesting. Man, Warren Beatty could have had a different late career if he
absolutely. And Tarantino said in that version, Bill was more like a James Bond kind of guy. He was less like the sort of, obviously they tailored it to the kung fu guy like David Carradine. He would have been more like suave secret agent type had it been Warren Beatty, which would have been interesting. Yeah, I think it worked out. David Carradine's great in that. Yeah. So then it ends with, as we talked about, she's singing again. Rob Lowe comes in and goes, yeah, I'm clean now, even though there's no difference in my look or performance in any way. And then
don't pay attention to the track marks on my arm. Don't even worry.
Yeah, they take each other's hand and walk off, and you're like, yay? Good? I don't know. And then the movie ends.
Arc I was looking for. Like, you never see him actually make the decision. Well, actually, you do see him make the decision to. It's just like
you never really see him make any decision. Like, he's such. You talk about being. He's almost not even. He's barely even reactive. He's just nothing.
Yes.
It's just kind of like
sliding
through the movie. It's really, like I said, it's the worst. It is far and away the worst Rob Lowe performance I've seen because it doesn't have any of the hallmarks. I'm just looking through other Rob. Oh man, Rob Lowe has a movie called Atomic Train. How have we not watched this?
We have to watch that.
The tagline is "The final stop is deadly."
This sounds so up our alley. This is.
I love that talking about this terrible movie, we found like 8 other movies we have to watch.
Yes. Yeah. Well, there has to be some reason we watched this movie, John.
Yeah, this movie will lead us down a route to do. We may have to do a low month. I'm looking at here I didn't know he had this many, but it kind of makes sense. Like, the 90s is a rough time for him. Like, early 90s, he's got like Wayne's World and stuff, and Tommy Boy. Oh, he's fucking great in Tommy Boy. But then it's just this weird like mishmash of stuff before he gets West Wing, and that sends him back into A-list stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely a low period career.
Yes, it's Lowe's low.
Lowe's low. Yeah, exactly.
God, Crazy Six is terrible. There's no good kill in this movie at all. Just people get shot randomly for no reason. And I think
the only kill I can think of is my soul leaving my body.
Yeah, we were damaged by this film. By God, I'm not going to be okay for. I got to shake this thing off. I'm actually. I won't be on for the next few weeks, listening, because I'm going to a rehabilitation clinic to get purged of this film. I got to get clean.
You going to Narconon?
I'm going to Narconon. I spent too much time with this Crazy Six who's crazy for drugs that I need help.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Well, we didn't care for this movie, but as always, I am looking for the most misguided IMDb review. And boy, I think this might set the record for the most misguided one I've ever found on here.
So when you found this review, did you look it up in a dictionary under the definition of delusional? Is that where you found this?
I think it might be. This review comes to us from IMDb user Cheese17.
Okay.
And the review right off the man, I didn't even have to read the review. I knew from the title I had to read this one.
Okay.
A well-made sci-fi action movie with a great political depth about the communism fall in Eastern Europe. That's the title.
Oof.
When I first watched this movie, I thought it was a very strange movie, but I know that the director almost always has a purpose when he makes a movie. So I decided to watch it one more time. I'm reading this in the tone I imagine this guy is saying this like at a dinner party of intellectuals. The second time I watched it, I realized that Albert Pion is a very talented and very original filmmaker. In the beginning, the viewer was told that the movie takes place a decade after the fall of communism in Eastern Europe, but they had clothes and cars with a design typical for the 1950s. By the way, did they?
No.
They had plutonium, which I think is a symbol for the futuristic trade. I think that it means that the movie's real time is not specified. The music in the movie is creating a long music video which tells some of the parts of the actual story in the lyrics, specifically the intro and outro of the film. Pion is using red and black color when he's showing the symbols for communism red and the capitalist Western world blue. One can notice that Ice-T has the name Mao, meaning communism, and that when he's in focus, the back color is red. The American cop, Burt Reynolds, is always filmed with a blue back color. The club where Mao and his gang hang out is also with a red back color. Crazy Six is straddling the line between the red and the blue color. The white little dog that Mao had in the beginning symbolizes, I think, the controlling force. Mao had the dog in the beginning, but the cop took it in the end. That symbolizes, I guess, the fall of communism and the replacement of a capitalist way of thinking from the Western world in Eastern Europe. Now, I think Crazy Six is a very well-made movie. Pion creates a sci-fi action movie with a political depth. It's different, but a very special movie about the communism fall in Eastern Europe. I'm looking forward to watching another spectacular film of Albert Pion's. 10 out of 10 stars.
Do you think this is a sincere review, or do you think somebody is
it's another one of those where I can't tell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
First of all, I want to say, John, of this reviewer, spot on, loved it. No notes. I'm imagining this guy in a coffee shop just berating a barista with this review of a movie no one should ever.
You know, I caught a little film last night called Crazy Six.
Very interesting. My favorite part of this review is now the first time I watched the movie, I didn't get anything from it. There was no substance.
In fact,
but I
thought
knew that directors have to have some sort of
That's
purpose.
the best. I love it. Is just like, no, when I first thought I thought it was a useless piece of shit, but I went, no, take a look again and desperately find the meaning in it by all means necessary, no matter how far I have to reach.
Is Albert Pion gaslighting this man into believing they're supposed to?
Yes, I need to. Actually, I got to click on this guy's IMDb because I want to see if this guy reviews some other movies. Nope. Sorry, this is literally the only review he's ever written on IMDb.
Well, that kind of leads me to believe it might be a bit, but
I just like the idea though, where he's just like, I've spoken of the only movie I've ever had opinion enough to write about. When something strikes me as much as Crazy Six again, I shall return with new opinion.
Although it, of course, only struck me on the second viewing. The first time I thought, well, this is completely
Which why you
useless
need
waste of my time.
And I realized, like, a movie with this kind of depth really needs to be watched a few times.
Can a movie be this bad? I don't believe it can.
No.
Therefore, there must be a deeper.
I do love
So
the
let's
idea of just like,
dive into
well, a film can't be bad, so this has to be. Man, I want
there's
to see
always intention behind filmmaking.
I wanna see this guy's
There's
review.
never just laziness or incompetence behind the process.
I want to see this guy's review of The Room.
Yeah.
Yes, and
Now,
the,
Tommy Wiseau gives us an interesting take on the American dream.
the
in,
the
The
football scene symbolizes the death of masculinity in the American culture. It's just like,
Now, the real question is, which room is the room? Now, this movie takes place in several locations, none of which are specifically noted as the room. So what if the room is the life that he has constructed around himself, the facade that Johnny has created?
forcing all of us to ask, are we all living in the room? Jesus Christ, man. I also love the idea.
I think we have a new off-Broadway show.
It's just
two
pretentious
fucking idiots that pretend like they know what they're talking about.
You know what? That could be our Oh Hello. It really could be.
I was just thinking that.
And it's us in like black turtleneckes with scarves, and we're sipping like little cappuccino cups. Yes. Well, that's the interesting thing. Or you're swirling like a snifter of cognac. Yes,
Probably can't drink that. I'm still imagining in like a coffee shop. Let's just say it's just Starbucks, but that's the height of.
I will say I'm currently in terms of good things I'm watching, and I watched about 5 episodes after I watched this as a palate cleanser. I've been watching a lot of Frasier. Right, and it just sort of is. This is like the Frasier and Niles take on Crazy Six in their beloved Cafe Nervosa.
I actually really love this, John.
I kind of do, yeah. Yeah, where it's just
just talking about terrible movies as if
and like the lights would come up, and there's just like that like that sort of like smooth jazz. It's us, and the only other person on stage is a guy with just the upright bass going ba-doom-doom, ba-doom-doom, which will just be the segue between reviews.
Should there be someone on stage who we get caught from, like somebody who recognizes that we're being absurd, or is that the audience?
The audience is there you go. There you go.
This is the movie we would do. Like we would break. Of course, we'd have to watch this movie again, and I don't think I can.
Well, the other thing I like about how pretentious this review is, like, even if all the stuff he's saying is true, that's such shitty on the the red color represents the communists, and the blue, it's just like, and the cop character.
Wrong.
He I don't think any of that is right.
Ice-T is Mao.
He did, didn't he? No, that's Varian Van Peebles' Mao. Yeah. Oh, hey, Cheese 17. Maybe watch it again.
Also, they were saying Bert was like being shown in blue light. No, he's usually being shown in yellow light.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Rob Lowe is shown in blue light.
Yeah,
he's wrong.
No, it doesn't feel like there's any thought. It feels like it's just like, this is cool. Put a blue light on it. That's what it feels like the movie was made like.
Yes.
Good God.
Yes.
All right. Well, somebody else saw this movie, Listman, who has a much simpler opinion of it, and it's time for once again to check in with everyone's favorite Amazon critic, Bruce Winning, for another segment of The Winning Opinion. All right, here's Bruce's opinion of Crazy Six. Like I said, I think he has a much simpler, much more visceral reaction to the movie. His review is titled, Just Give Me the Shooting.
Yes, preach.
I like the violence. I like the shooting. I like the punching and kicking. I found this in recommendations. This is what I like to see on my television. 5 out of 5 stars.
Wait. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought he was complaining about the title of this review.
No, he
implies that he's complaining.
No. I think the title of the review seems to be like, "Hey, other movies, be like this movie and just give me that shooting."
I misunderstood. I thought Bruce was. It's just hitting it out of the park.
Well, because Bruce can always enjoy something if there's just shooting. He seems to forget about anything else in a movie, right?
Which for this movie is a fucking godsend. Like, honestly.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like as soon as people start pulling triggers, he's like, "Oh, I didn't pay attention to anything else." I mean, because when he's talking about The Wire liking the shooting, is like, I think he's just like, "Oh, great!" He's just like, "Yay, they're shooting guns again," you know?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, as long as there's not time travel, then Bruce will probably like him. So, yeah.
Well, listen, sadly, we did not get any more Adventures of Crazy Six, but what say you and I try to come up with the return of Crazy Six?
Must be.
Well, that's the bit we do, so yeah.
Oh, right.
We have to do the show. So let's fire up our handy dandy action movie title generator here, and get a name for the movie here, which is Crazy Six : Listman, this is pretty perfect. Crazy Six : Nymph of Despair.
What the fuck?
I love this new action generator that we have now. We get some weird ones. What? Nymph of Despair.
Okay. Wow. All right. Nymph of Despair. Okay.
So I would say this movie starts with the entering of a new gangland leader to Crimeland. One Eric Roberts, of course.
Of course. It must be.
Yeah. And
Eric Roberts isn't going to run things like Ice-T things, okay?
No, he's get.
Ice-T
in fact,
let things get away from him.
That's his whole thing. You know? He comes in going, that guy, Raul and Dirty Mao, they fucked up, all right? I'm coming in to run a tight ship, all right? Nobody's stealing my plutonium.
Crimeland, okay? Yeah. I'm going to make it in my own image.
Oh, now you've got it right there, right? He is systematically becoming he's almost returning it to communism, right? He's becoming the dictator, the communist dictator of Crimeland.
He's the kingpin of Crimeland.
Yeah. And so Burt Reynolds, his character, whose apparently name is Dakota, he has to track down now clean and sober Crazy Six, who has his idyllic family life. He goes, "Hey, pal, I know you're out of the crime game, but shit's going to trouble here. And by the way,
Dakota is the first or last name."
Ooh, that's a good. They call me. You know why? Because his name is Big Dick Dakota.
Big Dick Dakota.
How you doing?
Well, that's what his friends call him.
Yeah, they call me.
His real first name is South, I think.
Detective South Dakota. Yeah. But you can call me Big Dick.
Yeah, they can call me Big Dick Dakota.
So they have to go back, and I think to get to justify the title, Eric Roberts is playing crime boss Billy Nymph. He is the titular Nymph of Despair.
Gotcha.
And so yes, even things are bad even by Crimeland standards. Even in the crazy world of crime, this guy has made things worse. Everybody's got to pay a tax to this guy, and for some reason, only Crazy Six can stop this.
Yeah, and I think Eric Roberts' ultimate plan is to take the plutonium that Raul was using and use that to create a nuclear warhead. He wants his new Crimeland name to be a nuclear power.
Yes, that plutonium, that's the only plutonium in Crimeland. So it returns once again to this MacGuffin. That, do we know? I guess, does Burt Reynolds recover the plutonium? Is that the idea at the end of this movie? Because what becomes the plutonium? No. But let's say the movie starts with him Eric Roberts steals that plutonium. And so, yes, he is now he's trying to turn Crimeland into a nuclear power on the world stage.
He's the mayor of Crimeland.
There you go.
The president of Crimeland, or the dictator of crime? I don't know.
The grand chancellor of Crimeland.
Ooh,
there you go.
Love
it. Something like that. And so that means we get him in, we get militarized uniforms, and he's in the thing with the epithets and the shoulder pads. He's in a crazy full on communist dictator outfit. Yeah, Eric Roberts in it. And Eric Roberts has a crazy mustache in it. Crazier than Crazy Six's. Like a big old,
Yes.
like, Civil War
Or-
general mustache. Oh, what?
What if the mustache leaves Rob Lowe's face and crawls over?
He wakes up in the middle of the night, he's like,
Robert.
where'd it go? It's gone.
And then he becomes crazy.
I have to get... Yeah, that's it, because he's like, no, Burt Reynolds, I won't join your crusade until his mustache is taken from him, and now it's personal.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Everything else, who cares? But the mustache...
But I have to have that
that's-
mustache
now he
back.
needs vengeance.
And when he kills Eric Roberts at the end, he tears the mustache off and puts it back on his own face, and all is right with the world again. And
Or
also,
is it?
like half the movie is Ivana Milicevic singing as well, because that's what
Yes,
people expect. It's a Crazy Six movie.
Yeah. This
Ugh.
movie will be 14 hours long, and it is 75%. So, yeah.
The problem was the first movie was just way too short.
They just didn't put enough singing in the original, you know? So they really need to bump that up.
All right. Well, Listman, we can put Crazy Six to bed or in a grave where it belongs. Buried alive for
I
all
think
eternity.
we need to tie a heavy weight to it and drop it off of a boat in the middle of the ocean, maybe into the Marianas Trench.
Well, listen, I am excited I'm cautiously excited for next week's movie. It's a little film called Laser Mission.
That's
Pew,
John.
pew.
That sounds great, but
Pew,
I don't.
pew, pew.
I don't trust anything
Pew, pew,
anymore.
pew.
I have no trust.
It's a laser mission, and folks, for
It
the
is a
first
laser
time on the action shelf, Brandon Lee, son of the dragon himself, Brandon Lee. We've never talked about him on here. So, and who's backing him up? Once again, weird cast, the legendary Ernest Borgnine. Brandon Lee and Ernest Borgnine in 1989's Laser Mission.
Good year.
Good year, indeed. As always, Listman, I will ask, do you want the tagline for this movie?
Sure.
A secret agent, a beautiful accomplice, a daring mission to prevent World War III, one thrilling adventure. Laser Mission.
Okay. This sounds like there's a plot. So
It sounds like there's a
it
plot.
sounds
Also,
better.
blissfully, 84 minutes long.
Yeah.
84
Yeah,
minutes
that's-
long,
that's a good
and
sign.
it is readily available on multiple YouTube accounts.
Hooray!
Anyone can watch this because nobody cares about this movie. I will say, just based on, I've never seen this movie. I'd never even heard of this movie. But I will say, looking at the poster, it seems to be attempting to do a James Bondian kind of thing.
Okay.
So,
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but with more kicking, based on the fact that also on the poster, Brandon Lee is just straight up mid-air kicking a guy in the chest with both feet. So,
You know, we love to see it.
you love to see. I mean, I think we are certainly hoping for martial arts with the late great Brandon Lee. So I don't know, man. I've seen some other Brandon Lee movies that I've liked. So, man, I hope so, man.
There's a good chance this will be fun. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. I'm hoping this is. I did watch the trailer and it looked effectively silly. So
Okay, great.
that's what.
I
That's what
just
we're
want to
looking for.
learn to love again, John. I just
Well,
wanna learn to
hopefully,
love.
Laser Mission can teach us to love again.
Yeah.
By the way, that's going to be the title of my book. Laser Mission taught me to love again. Pew,
Your
pew,
self-help
pew.
book.
Yeah, and then it just says pew pew pew. So
It's the forward by the author.
yeah,
Pew, pew, pew.
pew pew pew. All right, so that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Action Shelf. I'm John Campbell.
I'm Michael Listman.
Till next week, get yourself some action.
The Action Show. The Action Show.